Well, thank you for all the applause. I feel very special. So we're back, 2026, first podcast of the year. We used to be every week for a long time, actually. Anna, obviously, it's her show. It's been happening for a long time. And last few months, a lot of refocus. And now, 2026, we're ready to beat this. So we are back. So just to let you know, we are back. We are considering a lot of upcoming changes also when it comes to even maybe the podcast name or anything. And by the way, we are open to suggestion if you guys want to comment or send us a message or whatever, and say, hey, what would be a good name for the podcast based on the type of conversation that we have. So whether you're a diehard viewer of the show or whether you just scroll by and you saw us, please tell us what's up.
That's right.
What's that look?
Well, I just wanted to say, New Year. There's a lot happening already. The first week of January 2026, first month. My favorite, well, not really my favorite. I kind of stole that number from my mom, but my mom's favorite number, January 8th. And, a lot of people anyone that I've spoken with has said that 2025 was a lot. There was a lot going on, a lot of, I don't know, a lot of not pleasant things.
Yeah.
But in it, I find that when there's not a lot of pleasant things, we can always find that silver lining where we are feeling like, okay, there's that oxygen that gives me my passion back and my love back, and so on and so forth. So today's topic, the one that we chose together, is New Year, New War, why not peace?
Yeah.
So with that, I'm gonna pass it on to you, because you and I, we spoke a lot with regards to what is happening in the world right now, in the world we live in today. And of course, you come from a military background, and I come from, immigration background, but the reason for the immigration was to find safety. And in Canada and the United States, there's a lot of people that have left their home country to set roots here in Canada or the United States to just, feel sheltered from that. But at the same time, are we actually sheltered? And what I mean by that is, right now, what happened with Venezuela, there is a war happening, or there's uprising happening in Iran, and that is the country that I was born in, the country my father's from, and so that was my origin home. And when I talk to Iranian Canadians, I see that while we're here and sheltered, a lot of us still are watching what is going on back home, what is happening to, our relatives, our friends, people that we grew up with. So even though it is far away, really far away from where we are, we feel that pain. We can see what is going on. And of course, you can say, it's one thing to feel the pain from far away, and another to actually be in it. So to be in war, that is where you are. That's your specialty, because you've had experiences with that.
I wouldn't say specialty because...
Well, it's not a specialty. Sorry, wrong word. I guess you have experience. I've experienced it too, but I was a lot younger.
Yeah, and you have a good point there. The thing is that war, we often speak of the soldier, right? And when the question is collateral damage, right? Let's say that you have a priority target to take out, and then with the law of international armed conflict, they are different level of What I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of people that suffers during war that were there just because they existed. And to me, every year on Remembrance Day, I was taught that when you take a moment to feel bad for the ravage of war, for the veterans, I also take a moment to reflect on the family that were waiting home with their parents, their cousins, their uncle, their mom that never came back, but also the generational trauma from that and the victims that were just walking by. They just happened to be born somewhere with a life path in front of them that was abruptly ended while they were just in the wrong place. And wrong place, wrong time, right? And we need to look at that more because I don't know if there's a word, and maybe we'll invent this word here. So you know how, and if it exists, please let me know out there for our live audience here. There is racism, there is sexism, there's all these different boxes, these different categories that as the assumption, the judgment that end up having the actions that were based on that, which are just misguided. And there's countryism, right? I don't know what you call it.
Patriotism.
No. So
That's
yes, but
nationalist.
No. So patriotism often it's associated as you're really proud of your country, right? Like you have that sense of belonging. But what I'm talking about is, let's say we're talking about Trump as an example, right? Hey, Trump, definitely am not a big fan of the guy right now. If ever. Although I used to say, you're from his TV show. That was years ago. But Trump is not the people of the United States. The government is not the people of the United States. The people who support him over there is not the only people of the United States, right? There is a lot of people that just live there and that are like, what the hell is happening? Just like us, right? And in all of these countries, whether it's Venezuela, in Greenland, in all of these places that right now our safety of day-to-day life somehow is being threatened over someone that has a small wiener complex or something, that he needs to arm himself with jets, or I don't know, man.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that didn't we kind of like foresee this from the show Apprentice, how he was firing everybody so quickly? Like that's kind of like that. It's like, you get tariffs, I'm gonna come after you, I'm gonna come, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like now Venezuela, I mean, I'm not saying like I'm a big fan of the Venezuela president, but it's like legit, it's like, yeah, he's fired, we're just gonna take him out, you know what I mean?
And you see, someone that fires so much people, there's so much more behind that, right? So it's a really interesting point what you're talking about. Because if someone is not meeting our expectation or whatever, and we just immediately go right to firing them, often we might miss out some of the best staff that we would have had in our life because they were just misguided. So my point is, before you fire someone, see if there's something to do because they have corporate knowledge anyway, right? Or do you already spent whatever minute, hour, whatever your time worth? So the fact that anyone that was not doing things the way that he wanted is really scary because the diversity of opinion, and I'm not saying diversity in a liberal type of way in that context, I'm saying diversity of opinion based on everyone's perspective. If you can listen grassroots amongst your staff then there's so much inward that you can learn from, so that you can steer, let's say, a country properly.
I mean, some of the best organizations are the ones that have that, you know, that are actually listening at all levels, not the higher ups, because the higher ups are not necessarily, you know, in connection with what is happening down below. And so that is the reason why it's, you know, some of the very best organizations, award-winning workplaces and things like that are the ones that are listening to everybody.
Yeah. But the problem is with Trump is that his ego really gets in the way. From my own observation, and again, just like everyone, I am subject to bias of the algorithm, of the AI video and all of this, right? So yeah, this is just my own personal opinion as a concerned father of the threats that are happening right now.
I'm gonna be playing a devil's advocate a bit here, just because, I mean, if we're like agreeing with one another the whole show, it would just be like,
go for it.
You know, I don't think it'd be interesting.
Would you like a red hat?
But in all seriousness, though, I feel that in certain situations, it is important to make a decision and make a decision no matter what, because indecisiveness also is not good in so many places where everybody's just asking for opinion over and over and over. Things just don't get done. So in a way, he's just making stuff happen. Sure, they're not great, but he's making stuff happen. And I'm not saying him, I'm just saying in general. Like, I mean, if people are constantly questioning, and then, you know, that's where administration kind of comes in between getting things done. And again, I'm not talking about Trump at all. I'm talking about generally in an organization having so many opinions. It's like having too many chefs in the kitchen. At one point, somebody's got to make that decision. And somebody's got to take the blame for it, whether you like it or not. You know, regardless of whatever opinion, there's always going to be somebody on the other side of the scale that is going to feel the opposite. Like, for example, you and I were just talking about how 2025 wasn't that great for some people, for majority of people, but that could be our lens. There are people out there that did have a wonderful year. 2025 was the best year ever for them. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate.
Here's the thing. We all have our priorities in life based on so many different things. And our priorities and area of interest are going to also really affect our opinion, because right now with the algorithm, the AI video and all of this, whatever we're into is going to steer that, coming with the fact that everyone is talking about Trump. Then it comes together, and then at that intersection is kind of like the opinion that's being subconsciously pushed on you or reinforced and spinned in rabbit hole. But to me, to put it in simple word, like if we go back with you're fired kind of thing, it's really that, yes, fire people if you are not able to empower them to become better from their own, if you want driven people that work for you, right? But don't just fire them because they're not kissing your ass. And that's what the issue is with Trump. He is firing people when they are not agreeing with him. And if you don't listen to opposition, just like you were saying, hey, that's not going to be good if there's no opposition. And guess what? He doesn't have an opposition. Who is telling the guy, whoa, you're power tripping, man. Like, chill out. In the military, I saw power trips all the time. And then you just have to say, hey, level up, man. You know what I mean? Yes, you got one rank higher. Chill, you're still one of us, okay?
It's funny because we totally have that in real estate too. Like, you know, you have realtors that suddenly do or are working 2-3 deals at the same time, or do 2-3 deals like back to back to back. And then suddenly they feel like they're the best there ever was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
their ego just
Yeah.
gets the best of them. Or there are people, like you said, in an organization that get promoted.
Yeah.
And I've had many people like that, unfortunately, that I have seen close up. They get promoted, they're told, oh, you're doing such a great job. And then suddenly, and I find that is actually a very hard thing to know a balance as a leader, to know like how much compliment do I give one person, you know what I mean, as opposed to how much criticism.
Yeah.
And I've heard all kinds of things like, oh, you know what, for certain personalities you give like 5 compliments for every criticism so they don't feel really bad about themselves. And in certain instances, it's like you give them so much compliment that they just, I saw that many times where I give compliments and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so good. Look how far you've come.
Yeah.
And it's like suddenly it just gets to their head. And maybe I'm like that too. I mean, I'm very observant too. I try to be. And so maybe that is something I do as well. I don't know. But it's like, as a leader, how do you know when to balance it out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it becomes really tiring as a leader. It becomes really
Yeah.
tired to have to keep going back and forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, to me, values is something that should be above anything else. And values is not something that is learned in school. It's something that is learned at home, right? It's something that is learned in religious establishment in some ways, right? We need to wake up about that. It is absolutely ridiculous how human values are really going to shit. And I'm sorry for saying that.
Beep.
Yeah, well, it's true. And that's the thing. And that's why what personally I'm working on 24/7, as you know, it's to be able to create an organization that is capable of coming together and deciding globally what are the human values that we want to empower without becoming the United Nation or another whatever thing that is just like, what do they do sometime, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, so with that, let's say Trump as an example in decisions, since war is our topic. So with Trump, the problem is that his values of his bubble, he's being a great man because yes, bending the rules is necessary in some case, right? Rules or guideline, when you spearhead, it means that you got to bend some rules. And bending rule is based on values, but the values are not backed up by laws. And that's the challenge, because you can't really put law in the specific value. It just become, as an example, a human right violation, right? I dealt with so many cases of human right violation where I was helping people, and it was really tricky because a human right is not a law in that same sense, right? It's more like the HR version sometimes. Like it there's a big gap before it becomes a crime. It just becomes socially unadapted. Anyway, let's look at the people of Venezuela. I love Venezuela. I love the people. I love the country. Venezuela. The country, the music, everything. Like, hey, Venezuela. Like, I'd love to go over there. So
we'd like to go party.
Yeah, of course. Every country has struggle, right? But the thing is that these struggles, from Trump's perspective right now, he is seeing the country as an extension of himself. And he really sucks at self-reflecting when he's being an asshole. So because of that, he's doing the same thing as a country. He is looking at other country and judging without looking inward.
Mm.
How many people died from gun violence in the United States, right? Like the numbers are insane. The education level is really not doing great. The quality of education compared to a lot of countries. And that's okay. These are areas for improvement, right? But if all your energy is to point finger outward, then you become that asshole in the backyard of the school, and then everyone just wait for the moment that they can leg hook you.
So I want to say that as a leader, what is your goal? Is your goal to bring more wealth to your people, bring more resources to your people? Because that's what I see he's doing. He's trying to bring more wealth and bring more resources to his people. But at the same time, when you are not, to me, I feel like as a leader, it goes back to, you know, the quality of the experience. And for me, it's all about the happiness of your people, right? So when it comes to having all these, like what you mentioned, gun violence and all of those different things that are not so great. So for example, healthcare, you know, their healthcare, I was reading, one of my friends has been paying their insurance, and then they've been paying like $2,000 every month. And now that they really need it, they can't have access to it. And I was just reading that yesterday on my way to the car, but I just saw it very quickly on social media. And yes, they have access to private healthcare, which, you know what, in some ways, like, who am I to say anything? Because our healthcare is horrible in Canada, even though it's free. I mean, that can be a whole topic on its own, by the way, that I like to discuss. But it just ultimately goes to, what I'm trying to say is that, you know, he's doing all of these things to bring more wealth and more resources to his people or his country. But at the same time, what good does it make if you're not happy, if you're not healthy to use it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it comes down to what you said, values, like real values. And my thing is, what I think is happening is that why they're not having good values, and as a world today, we have less and less values that were passed on to us, and we're having a hard time passing it on to our children, is what you said. I love when you said it. You said it the first time, which is oral traditions. Like, that is amazing. I never heard that terminology said that way. Can you talk a little bit about oral tradition? What is oral tradition?
Okay, so basically a large part, so there's tons of different angles that we can talk about when it comes to that topic, and it's a topic that I've been passionate for years. But to try to stick to the current topic, I'm gonna bring that in there. So you have generational trauma on one hand, and you have oral tradition, right? And the line between the two is where it gets tricky. So if we look at, as an example, hate crime or racism or things like that, a lot of racism is generational.
Yeah.
Right? And with that, you have your oral tradition of your family story, something that is not written in any book, like my great grandmother did this or that, my uncle was this, when I was a kid, I painted that thing. These are all the information that you can't access anywhere else. It's not Bluetoothed, right? But then when conversation comes within your family, true conversation, that's where you get your family's oral tradition and your family's generational trauma, right? And it's really important to gather that to can better understand. And when you put it as a larger scale, let's say, and you look at a town, the balance between the town's generational trauma and the town's oral tradition, and what is it collectively, and then you go wider and wider as a country, right? And what I'm saying is, no matter what the topic is, a country is not a person. Donald Trump is not the people of the United States, right? It's all of these layers of who people see themselves as identity, and then the web, their perspective, right? And then it gets to the top where he thinks he's in charge, while in reality, the people is in charge, right? It's just like a teacher in a classroom. No matter how amazing or horrible you are of a teacher, if there's no student in your classroom, are you a teacher? No. And who decides that? The parents. The parents can change the teacher, but people are not standing up for the right reason anymore. So now it's tricky. It's the unions that are leading everything, and it's about, let's work as less as possible in our developed country, and then we'll just handle the crappy work to people in developing country. And then by keeping them down this way, because instead of fighting to escalate to their own wealth, they are too busy actually doing the crappy jobs. But then, see, and I have so many things that are coming to mind right now. When I was in Afghanistan with the army, I felt like a complete idiot. I felt like a complete idiot because
to partake in the mission?
No.
Oh, okay.
So here's the thing. When I was a kid, we were in a small village, right? I grew up in Saint Mathias, and there was really not a lot. There's not even a grocery store. It was a corner store.
Is it like that still?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's by Rivière Richelieu.
I wonder if I can give a shout out.
And yeah. So
Sorry.
that being said, I don't remember where I was going with that.
Oh,
It made me distracted. What was I saying? Sorry.
You were saying that you started with saying when you got in Afghanistan you didn't feel good.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. So because I came from a small place, and it was like farming, and it's like you can only see so many fields of corn, and like fishing at the river and stuff, like they say the good old days, some people, and yes, the connection with nature, but you're not exposed to a lot in your day-to-day life. And your only perspective of what the outside world is the media, right? The media at the time, my version of TikTok back then, or YouTube, was National Geographic, or the celebrity magazine that my grandma always had, right? And it's funny because still today you have, as an example, Kim Kardashian type of show, or then documentary type of show as an example, and the cartoon, which comic books were the thing back then. So it didn't change that much, right? Like we think it's so different, but it's really not. And it's really about the perspective of where you're from, because if you're from a place where you can only see just about everything from far, far away in a little lens, then your generational trauma and your oral tradition are going to be a larger percentage of your perspective, because what your parents are telling you, like as an example, whether you're a single child or you have a lot of siblings, again, your perspective is going to be completely different, because we learn from hearing ourselves discussing. That's how, and then from hearing the other person, and back and forth, right? If we don't have these conversations,
there's got to be that back and forth. There's got to be that conversation, and that's exactly what it is. Like having the communication between two people through verbal communication. The problem today is that earlier you sent me a link to this other reel about communication, how there is miscommunication as a result of, let's say, text messages or what have you. And it's funny because that reel about how a text message can be misinterpreted based on your current state of mind. I don't know which friend of mine I was saying this, either in high school or university, where I said that that's the reason why with my boyfriend I made sure, that was in university, I made sure to not have that kind of conversation, to make sure that we don't have conversations through text. But now in year 2026, people are texting more than they're talking on the phone. In fact, it's not just people texting to their friends and family. It's even companies are now communicating through text. Like, how many texts of specials did you get during the holidays? And that is how people are now communicating. Companies are communicating with their consumers. And you know what? Take that and add to it, the AI factor and what is happening with the social media algorithm. I mean, all of this put together is where the disconnect happens, is where we are all really getting mistrained or misaligned or falling off the track of where our ancestors came from, because our ancestors, what they did was that specific thing. I think even my father, one of my favorite things I used to do was listen to him talk about his childhood memories. And while some of them were painful, they were funny now, and the other day when I was going to Toronto with my kids, I decided to share with them where their grandparents came from, what that story was like, what were their issues and things like that. And to my surprise, which shouldn't be really a surprise, they really, really enjoyed that. So I said, you know what, going there, I'm going to tell you some of the unfortunate events, some of like where your grandfather came from. And then coming back from there, I'm going to talk to you guys about where your grandmother comes from and what is her traditions and things like that. And my gosh, they were full on listening. They were full on entertained, and they were full on absorbing. And the problem is that with our very busy lives, or I should say busy, because we are making that into a reality in our own heads, into our life. We're manifesting that into our lives. How we're so busy, we don't have time for this, we can't do this, or things have changed, times have changed, we have more work, etc., etc. And so we are now kind of dismissing ourselves from the responsibility of going out there and being the parents that we're supposed to be. We are excusing ourselves from doing what our parents did and their parents did and what we were taught. And that is very, very dangerous. That is, in the world we live in today, it can be very dangerous, because kids are, you see kids out there with this very, very, I would say, scary weapon. I think having phones or access to internet and social media, those are a bigger threat than I would say even guns out there, because the effect that they'll have, the long-term effect that they have on our kids' development of what is real, what is okay, what's not, the values you talked about earlier on, that is very damaging, more damaging than it is anything else. Like, why is it that suicide rates have gone up? Why is it depression rates have gone up? Why is it that so many people are now on one like mental illness is on the rise? And it's all of that. I mean, to me, it's like you gotta open your eyes. Like, we're always like busy doing the work that we're doing.
Mm.
But once, and this is something I learned from you, through our many conversations outside of this, is that seeing the world outside of what is here, you know what I mean? Not even just seeing it 360 degrees, but really seeing it from,
as many perspective and infinite as you can. Yeah.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's like, let's say that you're like, oh, I always wanted to go see that country.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go on a resort with the fake version, with cultural appropriation and like sexualization and everything, on a building that was built by moving the actual local from the culture of the area. And then you're like, oh, finally, I can't believe I'm here. But it's like, what the hell? Like, that's not, I thought you wanted to go there.
Mm-hmm.
That's fake.
Mm-hmm.
Put that in Canada, or, like, put that wherever you live, and you would be just as not in that place as you are right here. And the reason why I was going with Afghanistan, and I just want to finish that one,
sorry.
because I don't want to stay on that thought in my head. So because I love National Geographic magazine at the time, I thought that I was going as that Indiana Jones positive adventure where the guy have an eye patch and like you're, you know what I mean? You're obvious, like there's what's good, there's what's bad, and you're helping your country and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that it's not that simple. It is not that simple. And I remember being in awe about the people, the way the house were in the mountains, and learning and like seeing all those different things, because in life you really have to throw yourself outside the comfort zone, and then don't do the thing where you go in the resort, but learn from the people, learn from what's good, learn what's from not so good, and then when you go back to your people, to whatever is your people, your family basically, then your family, you get to see, hey, I just learned these new way that we could apply that in our life. Or I am now realizing that what we were doing was completely wrong. And the more you explore different culture, the more you get that. And then here I was in Afghanistan, and then there's one of the few things, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble for sharing this, but hey.
I know, I feel like...
Yeah, trouble's a bit my middle name on that one. But there's that thing that the US used to do. And
oh boy.
They would hand down these flyers across all the cities in the US, right? And it was basically showing that if you if you throw rocks, or if you try to shoot at a vehicle, or if you kick, I don't remember, at like one of our convoy, then you're gonna get shot. So like it's done so that regardless of your language, it's images, right? Because une image vaut 1000 mots. With that, if you were giving a thumbs up, you were gonna get either a pair of shoes or a soccer ball. And the thing is that they only have to do that once.
Oh, in Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Just for people that don't speak French, an image is worth a thousand words.
Okay.
So if you did thumbs up, you would either get a soccer ball from the locals, or
hypothetically you could, but if you throw rocks, then you can get shot. It's not wrong, right?
Why would you get the shoe though? Do you know?
But that's the thing. The thumbs up was the one that I didn't understand.
I do.
I know, but I was a young guy, right? And then you have the medias that were coming to report, and then you have like those kids going, hey, after it, right? Why? They want a pair of shoes or a soccer ball. They don't know the politics.
They're just the pair of shoes. I thought you would get a shoe thrown at you.
No.
Oh,
no,
sorry,
not
sorry,
your
sorry.
mom's slipper that she would get you when you were.
Because that in Iran, which I think is the same in Afghanistan, is equivalent to the middle finger.
Yeah.
in those countries. That's why. Sorry,
Yeah.
I misunderstood.
Now,
Okay.
the reason why I'm talking about this is that in the United States, the military is, and I'm not dissing any soldier, by the way, right? I'm talking about the politics. I'm not disrespecting anyone. I'm just stating facts, right? The United States military is a brand. That's why you see it so much in movies and all of that. The Marines, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Air Force, like you got Top Gun and all those things.
Everything is a brand. From that
But that's the thing though. But when you have a commercial on TV, you got to know that it's a commercial. Otherwise, like your consumers' rights are violated. But the problem is, we are now taking the current militarization state of all the country because people are not getting that all of that is based on commercials, right? Like this, the United States is being treated like a business, which includes the commercial aspect.
Marketing.
Yeah. So right now, basically,
100%.
basically imagine someone that goes to jail, and you know, like when you see jail movies as an example, and then you make a statement, right, which is a thing that does happen too. It's kind of like that right now. I feel like Venezuela was the statement from someone that's scared, that is in a position where, see, here's the thing, when
I want to say something. Sorry.
Okay.
Am I gonna cut your? Okay, go ahead.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
So, power tripping, it's not, there's a lot to it, right? And power tripping, in his case, the thing is that it gives you the same thing in your body as if you have an orgasm. It's like a moment of ecstasy. Just like when you have a crescendo intellectually or in whatever is your thing, you get the same thing in your body that gives you that, and you can get addicted to that. Power is addictive, and power does that, right? And you have to learn to ride it and tame it and be self-aware and listen to people. The higher you are, the more you have to listen, because the more power you have. And he's not looking downward, and that's the problem. He is only looking at what he is doing and the people that are kissing his ass, but that's not healthy, right? Because right now he is drowning in his own power, and because he's an older person, of course there's his existential question where right now he is working on being immortal by his action. But you know who else did that? A lot of historical figures that are not so popular, right? And it's not new, you know? Pyramids were built. It's not new.
Who are you referring to? Historical figures that are not so popular.
Let's just say he had a weird mustache.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I want to say is he scared though, or is he actually making a statement? Because oftentimes there are a lot of people that talk, but don't do the walk.
Yeah.
So from that aspect of it, I know that of course he is not, what he's doing, the walk he's doing is not the most greatest walk.
Yeah.
But he is doing what he believes in.
Yeah.
Which what he believes in is not the right thing. Yes, I get it.
Imposing.
but he is doing what he believes in, you know. So bottom line is that but I love what you said about the fact that, you know, he needs to listen inwards. He needs to listen to people. He needs to listen to people below him, so much so to understand, grasp what everybody wants and what is more representative of everybody. But at the end of the day, like, listening to everybody, what everybody wants, the world of democracy.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure where,
Let me
you know,
jump
like
on that.
we went from a lot of people wanting like, okay, yes, you know what, we don't want dictatorship, we want democracy, right? But then democracy now has gone so far off from what it was supposed to be because to communism, in my opinion, because of the fact that sometimes people end up, you know, all of these rights, all of these movements, all of these whatever, they came about for the right reasons. And I love that. They came from the right place. But the problem is the people that end up creating them, end up talking about them, end up protecting them, are the very people that they were really not affected by it. It's just people that, and then the people that were affected by that it was supposed to protect, they're the ones that don't say anything, and they're the one. And it's like with everything. I'm not talking about one particular group. It's about everything.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that the people that are, again, they're not the representative of the people that it was supposed to be protecting. So is democracy really good? Are we really democratic? You know what I mean? Is it really true that everybody's voice needs to be really heard? Or is it that, those same people that pretend to be protecting everybody are actually now have become the bullies of society?
Okay, so I gotta jump in there. So many different things. There's a lot of different parts to what
that
you just
part
said.
though, that part.
Yeah, exactly. That? Oh yeah, exactly. But so first I wanna. So there's liberal view gone too far. That is a part of that topic that remind me, and I want to get back to it. But here's the thing: when you listen to the people, right? What are you listening to? That's the thing. Like as an example, you have the need to consult indigenous people in regards to the pipeline, but there's no muscle to it where they go like, oh yeah, we asked them, they all said no, so it's a go. Well, why is that? Well, prime minister has the last word, right? So but the thing is that it's really not about political party. It goes back to values, to human values, right? So Trump, when he got elected by the people of the United States, right? He's their problem. That's the thing. Why is it now the world's problem? Because his consultation, it's inward, if any. He definitely did not do a referendum in Venezuela or in Greenland or in all of those places, right? You can't speak for the world. And just the fact that he does that, that's what's scary, because that's how a dictator sounds like. That's when you think that the people that you don't know, that you haven't been there, that are not your responsibility, that you still have to control them. And that's where the power trip is getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it gets stopped. And people have to see that. They have to have like psychiatrists and a bunch of people that are saying, look, you can't have someone like that is having the finger near a red button that can blow up the entire planet. I am no longer in the army, and at the end of my career, I could not hold a weapon anymore because I have PTSD, so I was not allowed to hold a weapon at that point because of the type of PTSD that I had at the moment, right? It's perfectly logical. Like, I was depressed, I was everything, I was going crazy at some point, like, of course you don't want to put a weapon in the end. Then why is there no one right now that are looking and saying, hey, what the hell? If the entire world is looking and saying, look, we don't want to overstep, but you're really overstepping. Like maybe, like there's bully training, there's sexual predator training, there's all of these different things that people know and have, and it's like the more dirt that's happening on him, the more he's like, no, no, look over here, and then more stuff come up, right? Like you were mentioning, I think, about the Epstein file, and how the more the Epstein file come up, then the more he does those other things to be like, no, no, look over here. Let's stop talking about Epstein, right? Yeah, we should look other places, but we should look other place for the right reason. And with our organization, what we are trying to work on, and I'm not saying that to sell it, but to say we need more people. Please reach us, join us. It's going great, but we need more people. We are trying to establish that and to learn ways to enforce it. It's not about voting for one political party to another. I don't care about bureaucrats. You know what I mean? It's not my business. Like, let's say there's a business across the street there, a business across the street there, and a business across the street there. If I don't use their service, if I'm not a client, if it's not my cousin or my friend, right? They're doing their thing. I'm not going to go over there and tell them what to do, because it's basic politeness, it's basic manners, it's basic respect, right? These are things we need to be able to talk about. And now also as a tech CEO, I'm tracking every day the evolution of CGI. And that's something that you mentioned that I wanted to address, where over 50% of everything online is currently CGI, AI generated. And the problem is, I devoted my life in knowing the right source of information. And then now I'm completely losing track. I don't know who's saying the real thing, what's happening. I don't know what's going on. Like, I heard that apparently now when we get to the border to the United States, they're going to screen all of our social media app, and you can't go in unless you never said anything bad about Trump. Is it true? Is it not true? I don't know. Sure. That's the thing, right?
I mean, that's the thing. Every time I was headed to the States, I would hear, oh, it's going to be so difficult. Oh, they're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're going to be tough on Canadians. But every single time, I did not have that experience. Personally, I didn't have that experience. Now, do I have extra screening or what have you? No, I don't have that. I don't have that status card yet. That, I forgot what it's called, but I don't have that. And so I didn't have a bad experience. At the end of the day, I think like you said, there's got to be respect. And so if you're going into another person's, other people's country, you need to make sure that you respect the rules and whatever it is. There are a few different things that you mentioned that I want to also address here, which one of which was with regards to, does he have the right to decide for other countries what's what and so on and so forth? There's got to be a limit, boundary set as to, hey, you know what? Maybe you're going a little too far. Maybe this is not what your people want.
Yeah.
So with that, another thought process came in my head, which is, so if we are to constantly categorize, this is how the Americans want it, and this is how the Canadians want it, and this is how the whatever Mexicans want it, Chinese want it, and so on and so forth. Isn't it that we are dividing people more than we are bringing everybody together? Isn't it that we are constantly categorizing, oh, but their values is this, while these people think this whatever tradition is so wrong, whereas these people, this is by their tradition, this is great. What I want the viewers to really, really at this point think and reflect is that are we not all part of one? Are we not all part of this place we call home? So like earlier on I said, some of us came to Canada later, United States later, and our original home was somewhere else, and now this is our home. But at the end of the day, we're all in one planet, and that's planet Earth. And that same planet that we all call home and love, and of course we have different regions, we have different fruits, we have different cultures, we have different weather, and so on and so forth. Oh no, this is more beautiful, that's more beautiful. At the end of the day, we're all part of one. And so the problem right now is that we are so after each other and after our, made up borders, because there are no borders. There's no border. There's not like, this part is this country and that part is that country. We're so concerned with the borders that we are losing the mark, the target, which is, this crazy like speed, really high speed, fast development of technology called AI. We're so after like who's bad, who's good, who did this, who did that, that we're missing the mark of what can actually pretty much end us.
Let me hop in with the borders. It's something that I've been digging in for a really long time. And to me, when you look at everything, when you were saying that I love to look at all these different perspectives, one of the easy way is to always go, let's see how many level of infinity big and how many level of infinity small. Now, to me, I now officially identify as a Earthian. But just so we all remember that, we're all in there together. Not even just a human, but we're a part of an ecosystem, right? We're nothing more than that.
100%.
But the thing with the separation of everything, it goes back to the very same thing that I was talking about at the beginning when it was mentioned, generational trauma and oral tradition, right?
Yes.
Plus what is experienced during the lifetime. These are the factors that are not calculated when we look at things. And the problem is that when someone has oppression, that means that they are not having a say at the table. And everyone needs to have a say at the table. Now, the problem is that we really suck at setting a limit to that. Because if it's almost like something that looked like kintsugi, where you have the Japanese broken bowl that you mend with gold, right? I think every podcast that we did together, I mentioned it because I love that concept.
I know.
But the problem is, in that case, is that the gold would keep on coming, which means that the piece cannot stick together and it just keep liquidifying itself and it's making a mess everywhere. So what we have to learn and decide as a society, and it goes again with value and those kind of societal decision, where what is enough? What is equality? Because every time that someone, like, let's say it's like this, right? And then you have this oppressed people, and then you have that people, the people that are the oppressor. Then if the goal is for them to be equal, once they get to equal and they've been under them for a while, they're going to say, my turn now, mofo. You know what I mean? But then that's where it gets tricky, because then it gets like that because the policies that those people created are not only able to do this, so then it goes like that. And then here you go, another, let's say 100 years or so or whatever, and then it's that cycle that keep repeating itself, right? Like you have, it's insane when you look at this. Like just look at whether it's slavery, abuse of power, tyrant, or anything. Like, it's just that cycle that keeps on happening. And the problem is when we are focused on being better than other, we completely lose who we were meant to be. And that's the big problem. Because here's something else that people are not talking about, and that is not in any book, but to me is something that is so important to understand. I guess it would be anthropology. So when someone is there, right, as society, seen as lesser, then their sense of identity, they're not going to want to learn it, right? Because they want to learn how to be this guy. Because where's up? Up's not there. Up is there. So then let's say you learn to be white, you learn to be Chinese, you learn to be whatever is trendy at the moment, right? Because that is the only way. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like it goes, it's that cycle of hate and popularity and hate and popularity. But that's where it gets really interesting, where the people from there are now going there, like every time they go in this group and then they learn.
Right.
And then during the generation that it's there, then by the time they pass by, as soon as they start surpassing, they lost at least a few generations that were,
experiences, lessons, and what have you.
Yeah, because they were learning to be them, and they were learning to be them. So now you have people that are switching background and beliefs and everything, but we're not factoring that, right? I'll give you another example. Let's look at.
But hopefully through oral traditions they keep that.
No, but that's the thing. The problem is their oral tradition in that context, and worldwide. I'm not talking about a group in particular or anything. Like that is something that is everywhere. And or make it my hypotheses. But the thing is that because they feel like that become cultural appropriation, as an example, and then once you go up and you're there, you don't have to fight these guys because you're there. So what's the only thing left? Lateral violence. Now they are eating each other and continuing to go up in that cycle of toxicity. Well, if they realize that all those people that are now at the bottom, until there's a generation where they're high enough that these are going to go and dig there and then realize, holy shit, that's all my ancestral teachings. What was I learning? But then these one, they actually had got that from here, and then these one from there. And the thing is, like, our culture is not as, well, yeah, there's differences and we have to be proud and there's history and there are things to shame, but we also really need to humble up. And that's why I'm saying that I'm an urchin, because I'm tired of boxes and I love nature, and without nature we die, right? We are there to either destruct nature or care for it, and I choose to care for nature. And caring for nature also means learning that if we go to infinitely big to infinitely small, I don't know how to save the world, but I can at least learn in my home how to be a better person. For that, I can't be limited by society telling me what is good or not. I have to have values, again, that are being taught, and not assuming that everyone is grow up with the same knowledge and everything. And then once you solve how it is in your own home, once you learn to set healthy boundary, once you learn to say no more, once you learn to say, you know what, while you and everybody else is saying that this is not okay what I am doing based on these values, that's how I feel about it. And then they say, well, no, that's not what people say. See, if we go by what people say, we are always going to suck as humans. We have to go by proper value. they gotta be values that we can all agree on.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's that same cycle. Just look at, as an example, women's right.
Mhm.
Okay, and I know it's tricky to talk about things like that, but right now, because women were oppressed for so long, and yeah, it's a fact. Now that women don't have that same thing, at least in Canada, right? Now it's actually seen that a lot of men are being now there, right? Any group that you can talk of, think about it, like any, even white people are now there,
Mhm.
right? And then eventually they're gonna get back there, and it's gonna be the other cycle, and we keep going like this.
Mhm.
But let's humble up and let's realize that in a relationship at home, all of those different incidents where we were being arrogant, where we did not seek apologies, where we did not see a president like the president of the United States or any leader of any country, they should be marriage counselors between opinions.
Mhm.
It's not about saying yes, thumbs up, you believe in that, go. It's not about that.
Mhm.
It's about having awareness.
Mhm.
Not saying, oh, okay, this is a fact, this is a
Yeah.
fact, this is a fact. No. You have awareness of everything. You focus on the value. When you are a leader, you cannot belong in one box because your job is to be on top. And right now, that's the problem. He is representing his own religion that he is fighting for. And I'm not saying the religion that he is worshiping, but a religion that his power trip is making him seen as a messiah,
Mhm.
right? And then instead,
You mean he's not? No.
instead,
No.
what needs to happen is for him to learn healthy relationship and to have people who are expert.
Yeah.
Not expert based on liberalism, experts based on science in relationship skills, and then look at it from, okay, in your home, in your street, in your neighborhood, in your town, in your city, in your province, in whatever.
Mhm.
And then he has to be able to have awareness of it. He is not the leader of the hive mind.
Mhm.
He is the leader of all of the mirrors that he has been seeding and harvesting all around him. It's not because you have more kiss ass than someone else that it makes you more right. It's not about people agreeing with you. The only thing we need to learn to agree together as humans is what are our values? What are the spectrum of our values? What are the topics that we have to have a say in? And now we have AI that is evolving so fast that we can't keep up with it with legislation. And people who do, like, a lot of people, Trump, business people, whatever, like the next generation of wealth, it's going to be really different and scary. So, anyway.
I like what you said about the fact that when people, you have the kiss ass people around you, right? And while that makes you feel good for that temporary period, those same people that are really telling you they're your biggest fan and things like that, the moment they have the opportunity to turn the other way, they do. So long as they can actually. So a lot of the times those people, they say stuff to be able to elevate themselves. It's like what you said, going to the next level, right? Yeah. Because they're trying to identify with you more. They're trying to identify with that leader. And it's just fake. It's not real. Mm-hmm. And awareness is the most important thing. Awareness of what is going on completely from everybody's perspective is the most important thing. Sure, you can make the decision, you can have the final say, but it's important to be aware of what is happening all around. Yeah. And so I think that there's all of these different things that we talked about today. So awareness, respect, knowing that knowing your values. These are the things, and it just, taking care of Mother Nature, Earth, But the problem is that most everybody is trying to level up to that next big thing, next shiny thing, whether it's AI or what have you. I mean, it was not too long ago, it's computers in our generation,
Yeah,
right?
there's always
A
something.
personal computer. Then it was like, okay, now we've got internet. Oh, wow, we've got this thing called, Bluetooth, where we can, sorry, pagers and cell phones. And then, the cell phones got better. And then now AI, right? And while those shiny things keep happening, what's happening is that we're losing more and more of ourselves, our values, what made us humans, what made us feel.
Yeah.
And that is the same, those are the same things that are going to destroy us. Now, how it destroys us, that's another topic. Like, are we going to be completely extinct? Or is it going to be just like the human beings that are going to be out there later on are going to be a lot different than who we are today? And you know what? It's crazy because sometimes, you do things that I tell you, oh, I didn't know that in your culture you guys do that. Like, that is something from my culture. I've never seen another human being do that. And then you turn around and say, no, that is also my culture. That is the right way to do things. And what's crazy is that I remember my father used to say, out of all of his 3 kids, because I came to North America, the youngest, I came here before teenage years, let's just say that I was the most Canadian, you know what I mean? The most, like, I have disregarded the teachings and the traditions and things like that. To give you an example, just to break it up from the intellectual things, because sometimes people get really tired of hearing these things. I remember being at our cottage where we'd go end of the week in Wasaga Beach, and then we had lunch. And after lunch, my dad would do this thing where he would just take a nap. Both my parents were taking a nap, but they had just eaten, and the sink was full of dishes, right? And I felt like, okay, then after the nap, the cleanup would happen and so on and so forth. And then suddenly I got a knock at the door, and one of my dad's friend was by the door. Is this Persian guy, and he showed up with like 4 bags of groceries. And he said, hey, Anna. And I was like, hi. And he said, where's your dad? I'm like, he's sleeping. And legit, his hands were full of groceries. And he said, okay, well, I came to just bring you guys this. Now, our cottage is about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from Toronto. And I was thinking, well, the house is such a, like, the dishes are there. I'm sure my mom doesn't want anybody to see it like that. And then I said, oh, okay, thank you. And I just grabbed the groceries and off he left. And then my dad woke up and he said, what is this? And I said, oh, your friend, he came and he left a bunch of groceries here. His name's Amir, so I'm very sorry if you're watching this. And I was like, and then my dad said, so where is he? Is he outside? I said, no, he just dropped the groceries and left. And he said, and you didn't invite him in or anything? And I said, no. And he said, why? You just took the groceries? I said, yeah. I said, what? Where are your manners, Anna? And I said, well, I thought that it's, you're sleeping. And he got so mad at me. And another time, my mom was in the hospital because she was undergoing a lot of cancer treatments and things like that. And every once in a while, she would get admitted to the hospital. So we were at the hospital, and I was visiting her, and it was one of those rooms where there are two beds, right? And it happened that next to her was this Persian lady. and I had a bag of chips. I opened it up and I started eating it, and I was like sharing it with my mom, and my mom's like, now my mom's not even, she's not Persian. She goes, where are your manners, Anna? Are you like not going to share with my friends here? Like this is not good. And I was like, oh my god, like I felt really bad, and I'm like, oh, would you like some? And it's really embarrassing to say these things, obviously, on so many different channels, but it just shows that, it's me trying to be more like, more like them, the successful people and things like that. Mm-hmm. Now, where did that come from? I remember my very first day at the elementary school in Canada. I go in, my mom gives us a pack of gum, Excel gum, and I take one out. I eat that, and then the girl next to me goes, hey, can I have one? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then the one next, Anna, can I have one? Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. And then next thing I know, my whole pack of gum is gone for the whole week. I go home and I realize, oh my God, I can't do this tarof thing, which we call it tarof in Persian. I can't do this in school. So, I mean, that's where it came from. But like, I don't know. I mean, and then I met you, and I saw that you're like doing that, and I said, what? Like, this is like such a Persian culture. Like, how do you do that?
The tarof thing was really something that was eye-opener to me, because what you cannot name is often invisible, right? It has to be named to be seen in some ways. And people say like, oh, not everything has to be named and stuff. Well, it depends. I kind of think it does, so that it helps communication in some cases. But with tarof, if only I would have known that word before, and understanding that that was a need for me, right? Yeah. Because the way that I was raised, tarof is necessary for me to have a healthy relationship. And I didn't know that it was a thing. So as an example, can you explain tarof a bit?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny because the person that had really started to reintroduce it to me was yourself, because although yes, within my community I was exercising that because it's bad mannerism if you don't, but outside of our culture, it's like, or similar cultures, yes, you do that. But again, let me explain the concept first. So the concept of tarof is, there's a few different things. When people tell you, hey, do you want to eat this? They share something with you that they're eating. And it's really bad mannerism to say, yeah, sure, like, let me eat all of it, or, half of it, or just not leave anything for them. So even though you really feel like you want to have, as my stomach growls, talking about food, even though you really want to have it, you just say, no, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. No, thank you. And then they ask a second time because they really want to share that, and you say, okay, well, no, thank you. And then the third time is the time that they're like, really, no, I really insist. And then you're like, okay, are you like, sure, I'll have. And then it's important that you don't have all of it. You have just a portion of it. Yeah. You have a small portion of it. Yeah. So that's the other part of it. But also, it goes with everything. It's just not food. It's with everything. Hey, do you want to go there? Do you want this? Do you, can you do this for me? And it's like, a lot of the times people just don't understand that sometimes it's just rude, right? Like, I remember the concept was taught to me, like, okay, when you're eating, let's say, chips as a kid, and then there's another kid that's like, oh my God, I really wish I could just taste that as well, and that child that really feels like they want to have it, and you see them really looking at you eating this chips, this,
Mm-hmm.
you should really, really offer it to them. But at the same time, that child needs to understand the concept that while they're being offered, to not take it all. It's just for them to share that moment with you.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Like to me, the thing of that was the most. It was the ability to say, "Is this Torov?"
Mm.
It saves so much trouble.
Yeah.
Let me explain that, right? Let's talk about a world without that phrase.
Mm.
So, I was in a relationship where I'm not allowed to eat unless others are eating around me,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that's what I believe in. That so, I would offer if I made something, even if I didn't want to have to share. If I didn't want to have to share, either I didn't eat or I had enough for everyone, right? So at the beginning of the relationship, I think that was one of the places where I was screwing up a lot because of that. Because what I was doing is that I was putting the other person before me all the time
But they
and being
weren't doing
frustrated
that.
about it. I was frustrated about it because I was being polite, but then they were taking, right?
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, yeah, no.
They
you're-
weren't reciprocating.
Yeah, you're supposed to say, no. You know what I mean? But then it wasn't the thing, and it was not going around, and then I would get bitter about it and sour, and over time, but I was completely blind to the cause why, because in my mind it was obvious, and they were just seeing, why is he becoming an asshole,
Yeah.
right?
Like, isn't it there to eat? Like, why
Yeah.
I'm eating it?
Yeah.
But it's like, you know what it is? Tarov, I feel like it goes farther than that. It's more like understanding that the other person's needs as well. It's really comes back to respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm respecting that you may also want to share this with me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know how they say sharing is caring?
Yeah.
It's like having the other person feel that they're included in your experience. But then when you get that concept and then they don't get that concept, it gets really frustrating. It's like you cook something and then they eat everything, even the leftover, and they're like, well, what? It was there to eat. Well, yeah. But I mean, if I am sharing it with you, then why don't you share, also think of me as well. So, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it too, the reels where they say, you know, there's a reel that the guy was like saying to his wife, hey, do you want anything from whatever, McDonald's or Burger King or whatever? Do you want anything? And she's like, no. Don't you hate it? Like, it's a POV. Don't you hate it that you ask your wife, hey, do you want anything? And they're like, no. And then you come back and you've got your food, and then here comes your wife and it's like, oh, can I have some fries? And they start eating it. And then you ask them, well, why the heck didn't you ask for it? Like, I don't want to share it with you. And then she turns around and says, well, I didn't want to order the whole meal because of calories. And while it's funny and true, that's exactly the opposite of what Tarov is. Tarov is more about respect, and it's also about sharing that moment and that experience with the other person, because I think it roots from not feeling like you can have all the best experiences by yourself and it doesn't feel like you have gained anything. But when you share that moment with another person, that's when it just multiplies.
So now we look at it on scales, right? Currently, countries are looking at other countries and saying, look, if it reached to that point, we're gonna step in.
It's a Tarov as
and
well.
It's Tarov. And that's why there's another level from the Tarov that is honor and integrity. and then your honor and integrity makes it really difficult to not do it once you said that if the person now did that. So then they don't have a choice, but do they? And that's the question that the world have to ask themselves right now. Do we have to do this? Do we have to go in the world war because we are too much of scaredy cats to stand up and fight for peace? Right? Why are we putting so much energy and focus into world war when we could put energy and focus for peace? What are the agreed value that we can put at risk the life of our own children and our grandchildren?
For what?
The life of the entire planet. You know, there's all these nuclear bomb with all these fingers, and everyone is getting so tense. Everybody's seeing it. No one's stepping up. For real, no one's stepping up. Like, look, even Canada. And I'm sorry to say, Mark Carney, thank you very much for signing my retirement certificate. That being said, I know you're a banker, but if we are generating more money as a country and having a less deficit, just so that all of this go into making war, I can assure you that the Canadian Armed Forces, there's other things than wars that we can do. Right? We can do a lot of things. There's a lot of domestic operations that could be done in Canada. There's a lot of things that are needed. It is necessary. And
I love all the hearts I see right there. Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's the thing though, like it's driving me crazy. It's like the entire machine is looking at, are we the good guy or are we the bad guy? That's the two ends of the spectrum. There's tons of other spectrum that we can explore. There's tons of other possibilities than the false choices that we're given right now. We are the people of the earth. We can stand up and not say like, oh, more war them, fuck them, they're bad, he's bad, she's bad. They're. How about we show love instead? How about we protest our love? How about we use our numbers to change those algorithms, to change those AI, into putting all of our efforts into going toward peace, toward health, and toward care for the earth, which is the three primary principle of the companies that I'm building. And it's really not for money. And I mean, I think you know me by now that I'm really not about money. This year alone, I slept on the floor for what? Over 3 months. But that's another story. That's why she's doing that face. To me, loving my children is more than whether my children love me or not. It's more than whether I'm always doing the right thing. You know, I make mistakes all the time as a dad. And I am a generational soldier in addition to have served for 23 years. So with my father that was in for over 40 years as a military person and then become civilian for D&D, like the military mentality and like the government way of looking at things, it is such a sealed bubble that don't exist. And the thing is, all of these bubbles around the world, they don't exist.
Yeah, it's a made up.
They don't exist. It's a grain of salt in the perspective, but that's all what we're being sold. Why? Because politics are brands. And we should not market and push marketing on the decision of the generations to come. The decision on where we're steering as a society. How are we gonna care more at healing the health, healing the earth, instead of continuing to destruct it and to threaten its own existence. How many times do you have to shoot yourself in the foot because you're mad at it before you realize that it's a part of your body? It's not because you don't like something that you get to shoot it. It's still a part of you. We are all a part of the earth. And this is not my opinion. This is a fact.
The reality.
And if you don't agree with that, then try to jump as high as you can and fly like Superman and escape to another galaxy. But if you can't, then humble yourself down. And then realize that, no, we are all in this together. And what we have to stand for, what we have to mobilize is not more war. It's more peace.
More love. More
because
respect.
No one can agree 100% if war is a good thing or not. I will say it's a horrible thing, but no one can say that. You know, that everyone is saying this. But peace, if you don't want peace, you got issues. But then even the word peace, what is peace? These are things we need to agree. There's Christian values of the definition of peace. There's Muslim value. There's Buddhist value. There is indigenous perspective of peace. I believe. Yeah, exactly.
All of them.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Let's have these conversations. And that's what liberal views were supposed to be, where we are creating a platform where everyone can learn from each other so we communicate better. But because people don't want to take the time to do that, they're just empowering the oppressed until they become the oppressor. And it's that cycle that keep going on over and over and over and over. No more. No more. We have to stop that. Like, how can people just be like all stressed out and oh my God, like we need to look at TV and know what's going on, and then this country is going at war and that, and then there's these robots in China and there's these like AI hackers and like, what the hell? Why are we spending all our energy on that? It's no different than being that super negative person. If you want to, it's not about just being an optimist. It's about steering in the right direction. What do you want? Okay, work on that. You know, you want to be great at skip roping? Get off your butt, practice. You want to have a world that is great at peace? Do it. But you have to do it together. And
that's it. I was going to say, it's like, you know, the problem is that a lot of people, they are waiting for someone to come and just, you know, create this. But we all have to be aware of how much we all need to participate in this.
Yeah.
How important it is for each and every one of us to be aware of it.
Yeah. And it's like ethical AI as an example. Ethical AI. That's not our fucking bullshit photo op type comment. Right?
Now you
I'm
really
sorry, but it's like ethical AI. Like, come on, man. The thing is that currently words are being thrown out there, and AI is a subject that people are completely not understanding. Why? Because it's crazy. It never existed before. It's something both terrifying and amazing.
Exciting.
Okay?
Yeah.
But unless you learn about it more than the lens that's being thrown at you, then you don't know what it is, right?
Yeah.
And as a parent, I try to understand it to a point that I now own a tech company. And what I'm working on is to just understand it.
For the viewers out there, can you share what is the name of your company?
Okay, so QB3, I can say that with my accent. Can you say it?
QB3.
Yeah. So you'll understand later on when you look at that. So QB3 are also part of trees in the platform that we're building, but also the number tree. But it's funny because I can't pronounce tree, so yeah. Anyway.
It's also a tree.
Yeah. So what one of the things that I've been working on for the last many months, it's a virtual social experiment
Mm-hmm.
to visualize artistically what I am offering when it comes to our what our values could be as
Mhm.
humans. What should be our ethical filter? What is the equivalent of your suds,
Mm-hmm.
but as a people? So suds is, and I'll say that quick because we're just about out of battery, but it's really important. Um, let's say that my left hand is shaking. What do? I hide it in my pocket? No. Why is my left hand shaking? It's not put a tape over check engine light, in your car. You gotta be self-aware because your body, your emotional intelligence comes from your ability to self-reflect on what are the things, like how is it when it escalates? Do you get your fingers numb? Do you get your shoulder that start hurting? Do you start scratching a certain way, right? We have these physical patterns that reflect our escalation. And we need to be able to also do that as a town, as a home, as everything. What are the signs? What are the patterns that we can improve?
Yes.
Is that
Who's that?
is that ICE coming to get me because I was talking about Trump here?
I'm not sure.
I really think that every time they walk somewhere, they should have vanilla ice baby. It'd be really funny because of the concept that he was in the group. But
I mean, this is a very interesting topic. Obviously, we can go on and on about it as a result of our battery, and also, it took. We've had a lot of different. In the past, we've had issues setting this up, but now it's permanently set up. So we're good to go for many other lives that we're going to do this year. I feel like we should definitely do, as we were talking before, we should do more than one live a week because sometimes, there are more things to talk about.
Mm.
But the idea is that, like you said, why put so much effort into war? Why put so much effort into the nonsense? Instead, let's get back to the basics of what made us humans.
Yeah.
And let's focus on, instead of our differences, let's focus on what actually unites us as human beings, as the citizens of Earth.
Yeah.
But let's pick this up again next week or in a few days. And it was really good. Thank you for being here.
Message for Elon Musk.
Yes.
You had a tough breakup and you had a tough experience with Trump. Mm-hmm. And it's really not about whether pro Elon Musk, pro whatever, right? Not like that whatsoever. You have all that power. Mm-hmm. And you now know what we're dealing with. Please don't focus on war. Focus on peace. Focus on health. And focus on care for the earth. And if you need help, we'll help you. But don't be another douche. Because we need you right now to be a good person because you have that power. And you know what? If you need a place where the hugs are going to be legitimate, then come to the real people. Because I do believe John Lennon, when he said for the song Imagine, what is it? Imagine all the people living life in peace, I believe.
Living in harmony.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, imagine all the people.
But that's the thing. There's so many songs, so much artwork that came generation after generation after generation to promote peace. Mm-hmm. Peace is the message that we need to pick up right now. not war, not fear, not rage, not hate.
Nobody wants that.
Let's have art and social media focus on mutual human love and care and way forward, and not forward with more hate, forward with more positive intelligence and intelligent heart and being more genuine. All these different things that could be done for a better world based on those values that we're trying to highlight right now. That's what needs to happen next. So join us. I don't think I'm better than anyone, by the way. I'm an asshole. I made tons of mistakes. I've also achieved a lot of things, but guess what? That's what I am devoting the rest of my life for, and I'm dedicating it to my children and to every children out there and their descendant. You know, maybe I sucked at being a dad sometime. Maybe I sucked at being a human being. But one thing for sure is that I will try my best as a responsible human being to be a good urchin. I'm trying. It's the best we can do. And trying with as many perspectives as possible so that we don't try like an idiot. Like a chicken with no head that keep going, right? That's not trying, that's just being manipulated.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed the show. Anna, it's great to be back here. It feels a bit weird. It's been so long. And it's funny because we're both CEOs now, and before I was COO and you were CEO with our respective companies. So thank you for everything. I appreciate you insanely. You are an amazing human being. And Anna Alemi Real Estate Team, if you enjoyed this, we wouldn't be able to have this conversation if it wasn't for her, right? She gave me a lot of opportunity to say what I had to say, and that was a really powerful gift, because to give someone a voice but also ears and eyes is thank you. I really appreciate you. So
Thank you. I really appreciate you as well.
you're kind of cute too.
All right. That face. All right. Awkward. All right. Well, thank you so much. You know what? Actually, it is not awkward, because why is it awkward?
It's
You
true.
know what I mean?
It's not.
Giving compliment is a good thing, and I think
Yeah.
that
That's true.
we should exercise that more. So, on that note,
compliments and constructive criticism, balanced.
Yeah, I think that I've learned a lot from you, to be humble, to be aware. I continue to learn more from you, so thank you for that. And you know, you said that you feel that maybe you are not the best parent in the world, but as a parent we all feel that way, and we're just doing our best as long as we're aware of that. And I don't think that, by the way. I think you're a great parent, because the fact that you are thinking, you know, generations ahead, that makes you that much more that much better than some of us that haven't thought about it that far off.
It takes a lifetime to be a parent, and I became a parent I was really young. And that's the challenge. Being a good parent, are we looking at from a carpe diem standpoint? Are we looking at it as, you know, back then? It's tricky. It's really, really tricky.
But I just want to say you are a great parent, and you are very humble. You're aware, and the fact that you are sharing what you're sharing, that's great, because a lot of the times people are afraid to say things, are afraid to tell people that they need to fix themselves. And for me, I'm really grateful to know you, to have you on here, and we look forward to more episodes with you guys. If you like it, give us a thumbs up, share it. We like to hear your feedback, because with your feedback is how we know to make this better and more relevant to what it is that we're all looking at. And this year, we're going to make it a lot different than last year. Last year was kind of like we're kind of getting to know how this thing can go, how committed we are, and so on and so forth. But this year, we have a really, really good plan in bringing on other guests onto the show. Yeah. The setup is good. It's good enough. I mean, we're going to get it bigger and better. But at the end of the day, while the setup is important, I think the message is that much more important.
Oh, yeah.
And so we are going to bring in other guest speakers here, whether it be politicians, because we are in the city where there are a lot of politicians.
Let's drag him here.
There are some.
I lost all faith in them, so let's see if they can regain it.
There are some that I would love to bring on here to speak with, and there are also professors that we'd like to talk to. There are entrepreneurs. There are businesses that, whether they're small or big. If you guys would like to also let us know of anybody that we should bring onto the show that's relevant, please help us. That is the way you can help in this cause. Let's not be, so focused on our day-to-day activities and just let computers and laptops and those are the same thing, but like technology raise our kids and teach our kids values, the next generation values. Let's have that conversation to pass on the values that we learned. What you talked about, oral tradition. So oral tradition to me is those nice stories that we heard from our families for generations and generations, and we learn from them, from how they were able to deal with different things. But you know what? Battery is super low, so I'm gonna say thank you once again. I really appreciate you here, and please